spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Sing holiday tunes till we get the green light. Have yourselves a merry little Christmas. Let your hearts be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourselves a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who were dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who were dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Are we good? Are we on?
We're on?
Are we on? Are we on? Are we started? Yes, we're good to go.
We're good to go.
Yes.
But it looks like we're on.
Yeah.
We'll do slits. We'll be out with you.
That could be first.
No worries.
Was that the first song, or was that not the first song?
That was not the
Okay, we'll do the first song. I was trying to think of songs that encapsulate the freedom of the message of the season, which is basically free of fear, full of optimism, trusting. And I always like to go back to this one. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way. I'm gone on the dark clouds that have me blind. It's gonna be a bright bright, bright sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, bright sunshiny day. Oh yes, I can make it now. The pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is a rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, bright sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, bright sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way. Gone on the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, bright sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, bright sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, bright sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, bright sunshiny day. Welcome everybody, happy Sunday. Lovely to hear you.
Now I'm on? I'm on. Good morning. Good to see you guys all. And thank you for bearing with us with our little kerfuffles here. It's just part of what happens in the world that we live in. So happy solstice to everybody. I'm glad that you guys are here. By the way, it was a little chilly in here when I walked into the room, and so I turned the heater on. And it's a very efficient heater. And I know the platform is about 10 degrees more of what's ever going on. So is it warm out there? So can you...
Let's get the fireplace going.
Yeah. So can one of you turn the heater down, please? Fabulous. Thank you. So look at that cute little dog. So anyway, the slides are up, so I'm going to give announcements right now. So the first thing is that we are doing Christmas Eve, and I'm really excited about Christmas Eve. And I promise this year I will not mention George Orwell in my Christmas talk, which I have done before. I'm embarrassed to say, not embarrassed to say, just kind of what it is. Yeah. Who talks about George Orwell on Christmas Eve? I do. So anyway, to counterbalance that, we're going to have Ron Abel, who is a fabulous musician in town, and he's going to be cranking up the piano, and we're going to be doing Christmas tunes. So it's going to be a very non-traditional, traditional Christmas, and it just would be much more fun if you are here. And that's at 6:30 this coming Tuesday night. And then on December 29th, we're doing our annual poetry service with Craig, who... If you've not been to it, it's just lovely. He just does these beautiful, usually Rumi poems and Hafiz, and he's accompanied by Lee. So it's a beautiful service, and so that will be on December 29th, the last season of the year. So those things are coming on. We have a class starting in January, on January 21st, with Sherry Davis, who's one of our practitioners at large. And what I mean by that is she lives in Oregon. And so the class will be on, the class will be on Zoom. And it's an accredited class for anybody that's thinking about they'd like to go on to further study, either for being a practitioner or a minister or wherever you want to go with that. So it's there for you. It's from 6:30 to 8:30, and it's on Tuesdays starting January 21st. You can go to the website and get information or talk to Andrea, who will direct you to the website, and that's how that will work. Let's see, what else is going on? Jim has his class on Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock. just not next Sunday. And that's Wellbeing in the Tao, and that's from 9 to 10. And then on alternate Sundays at 10 to, or 5 or after 5 or whatever, after 10, Magdalena runs, and I'm sorry I missed it today, a kirtan. How was it? Fabulous. Okay, everybody's cheering. Yeah, everybody's happy. Good. So anyway, every other Sunday, you're waving at me like it was really a good thing, or? Yes, Wednesdays at 4:30, and then the Tuesday at 6 in the morning? Okay, yeah. I'm going to join that class. I'm just not going to physically be there. Yeah, it's cold in Temecula at 6 in the morning. And so anyway, those things are kind of going on. Any other announcements that I should know? I think that's it. January is going to be a busy month. I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about Christmas Eve. Really excited about that. And so we always like to start with a question. And I did not text you guys the question today for ulterior motives. But here is the question. So one of the things that I teach is that there are 3 great spiritual texts that we should all be studying. And the first spiritual text is the text of the cosmos. It's the book of nature. The second text are the sacred writings, and what I mean by sacred is something that inspires you. And the third great text to be studying is the interior voice, that still small voice within us, the intuition. But today, I want to focus on the first text, which is the book of nature, because I had this incredible experience this week. I was sitting in my living room, and I was reading, and I looked out the window, and we have this beautiful Modesto ash in our front yard. And during this time of year, it's just golden with the leaves. And a breeze came through, and it was like raining golden snow. It was just this beautiful covering everything, and it was just this, and so, you know, I figured, I'm reading this. This tree is, and I are having this moment. So the question is, how has the book of nature spoken to you this week? And would you be willing to share what it said to you? Any takers want to go? This week. This week. Any takers? How has the book of nature spoken to you this week? We got people over there. We want to start the congregation. You want to go, Jim? Okay. I won't forget you later.
Well, as a naturalist and a Taoist, that's, of course, something that's really central to how I look at the world. And I do a lot of my study in our sunroom, which has an oak tree right outside the window. And I love, at a certain time of day, there's a bunch of finches that come to the tree and eat all the bugs off of it. And it was just interesting to think about how there's this like reciprocal aspect of how everything kind of takes care of everything else. And yeah, I guess that's just a key thing that constantly inspires me is in the world of nature, there is no waste, there is no trash. Everything is food for something else, including someday us.
Yeah, it's eventually us.
I'm trying to think specifically this week. Nothing's coming up for me specifically like about the week, but I feel like my general psyche is based off living between the lines and having an experience that feels somewhat between the lines, which I think in many ways a lot of us can relate to, whatever those lines are. If you get to see between the lines, there's something about like paying attention and focusing on the things that aren't the biggest thing. And nature has a way of going, okay, the sun comes up in the morning, and but look at these other little things that are all interconnected, and teaching us that everything's interconnected. If you look closely, it's not just this big phenomenon that's happening. There's all these little micro things happening that make up the big things and make up everything, and it's all just interconnectivity. And so just learning from nature, and every time I get to focus on nature and see those things as a reminder, that's what's happening within me as well. So that's how nature inspires me to live better. Yeah.
Okay. Laura, you want to go for it? Oh, you can't. Okay, I got it. So Laura is actually going to be doing the reading today out of interpretive dance because she just had surgery on her eye, which is why she's wearing sunglasses. And then she walked in here, she just got struck with laryngitis. So she's going to do the reading by Morse code, I think is how we're going to work it. But so we'll leave Laura out for the while. Yeah. But Larry, you had something to say.
Sure. A couple of weeks ago, you mentioned a book called Braiding Sweetgrass.
Yes.
And so I thought it might be good for one of my daughters, so I went over to Temecula to the Barnes and huge Barnes and Noble. But before I was going to look for the book, I had to run to the restroom. So I went to the restroom, which was way over in the corner of the building. And so when I came out of there, there was a small table there, and on it was Braiding Sweetgrass.
Oh, lovely.
So I thought that was, a setup.
Auspicious, yes,
So
yeah.
And they actually had if you bought one, got the next one's half off. So it's a good deal.
Good to know. Good to know. Yes. Liz.
This week especially have been sunrises and sunsets that have been spectacular.
Yeah.
And especially in the morning, I thought, what an awakening. Because what I try to remember, the first words out of my mouth is thank you. Thank you for this new day. Because for me, God is an energy, and God is in nature, and we're connected with everything. And that, the essence of nature for me is my church in a different way. It just, and the skies have been so lit up, so I have been blessed. Thank you.
Let's go Mary D, and then we'll work back that. Andrea, then Mary D, and then we'll go back to that area there.
I'll be fast. So, comfort and joy. I really, especially today, I hugged our dog and I just smother him, and he gives me so much comfort and joy. And so I've been using that theme as I look around, as I'm present to the moment, and I'm going, yeah, comfort and joy. It's helping me direct my intention.
Beautiful.
This time of year, I'm helping everybody get their places ready to entertain their guests. And I'm out and about and on the road, and that's exciting. But I stop, every time I stop at a stoplight, instead of thinking about the frustration, I enjoy the view out the windshield. And I take every moment to smile at the other people, to look at the sky, to look at the trees and the birds, because we can all have our heads down and be thinking and full of, why is that person stopped when we should be going? That kind of thing that you get on the road. And instead, I take that opportunity to appreciate what's around me.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right, we got a whole crew over there. Yes.
Hi there. My nature this week has been my invisible helper friends. 3 times this week when I was working through some really challenging emotions, there were this flock of ravens that literally flew over my head. And I felt like they were actually escorting that emotional turmoil away and just really bringing me comfort. And I liked tuning into that. It was very helpful.
The ravens or crows?
I mean, crows, yeah.
So, who knows what you call a group of crows together? A murder of crows. Don't you love that? It's a murder of crows. And they're fabulous. And what's cool about crows, I used to live in a really back area. They're tattletales too, because they'll let you know everything that's going on. And they would always warn all the other animals in the neighborhood when the coyotes were coming. I used to have this big yellow lab, and he would hear the crows, and he would just go yelling downstairs and going out in the yard and just carrying on. And sure enough, about 5 minutes after the crows would go, the coyotes would show up. So they are really true messengers. Yep. How easy it is for me to go there. Okay, but well, thank you.
I live in town and I can't see the stars very much, especially with the evening fog and things like that, and the lights around me. But last night we were on the other side of 15 up on a mountain at a party, and I was able to stand out by our car and look up and see all these stars. And we spend so much time looking around, directly around us in our little neighborhoods. And I look up there, and that's part of our neighborhood too. We're part of the neighborhood of the universe, and it was wonderful to feel like I'm saying hi out there. We're still here.
I love that. Thank you.
Yesterday, I had the pleasure of getting together with my witchy pagan group to celebrate Yule. And you talk about nature. We used all of these herbs, cranberry, rosemary, clove, lemon, to honor all the directions. And we had a water healing ritual, just leveraging the power of nature inside of these rituals were so healing and brought me to tears. It was just so special. Lots of meaning there.
I'd like to share that, I'm noticing how it's a little warmer outside, and I was kind of bummed that we're not getting a whole bunch of rain, but since we're in this new, I think it's the La Nina pattern, and I'm just appreciating the sunlight and the warmth that we're having, and it's just amazing. So it's really nice. And I don't know about the stars, but I don't know if they're drones or not. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's interesting to think about drones as an oracular tradition. I kind of ponder that. Anyone else? Anyone else? I'll share one thing and then we'll go into it. Maybe I've shared this story before, but several years ago I took a motorcycle ride to Colorado, and I went through Navajo country and Utah and Arizona as I was doing that. And to prepare myself, I was reading these Tony Hillerman novels. And Tony Hillerman was a journalist out of Albuquerque, but he lived really close to the Navajo Nation to the point where he built a deep trust with him. And so most of his books are detective novels, but in them he weaves all this really interesting Navajo mystery juju stuff. It was really cool. But one of the things that he suggests is, and I've just taken this on as a practice, and you inspired me when you talked about the crows, is whenever I see a raptor, raptors are owls, hawks, eagles, vultures, raptors. Whenever you see a raptor, is to stop and just pay attention to what you were just thinking, because they're messengers. And it's really an interesting practice, because, how often do you go throughout the day not even aware of what you're thinking? I spend a whole lot of time thinking about things I'm not even thinking about, or not even aware that I'm thinking about. But just as a practice, what was just going through my head right now? It's a really interesting practice to do. So anyway, I offer that to you via Tony Hillerman. So I think we'll start. Are you going to be okay? You're good. Fabulous. By the way, at the Christmas party, Laura, you were absolutely resplendent in beauty and light and everything with your dance troupe. It was really a joy to see you there at the Christmas parade.
Thank you. Thank you.
The parade, the Christmas parade. Yeah. I said party? Well, every parade's a party.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Laura DiDonato, your practitioner of the day. 40 years now, practitioner. Yay! If this is your first time, you are so very welcome. And now I'd like to invite everyone to turn to the person next to them and wish them a good morning.
I breathed. Yeah, me too. Plus 3 years.
And now let's take a nice deep breath in and exhale. Being aware that this moment right now you are in a safe, loving place. Knowing that God is the power, the intelligent electricity that lives in all things. The intelligent joy, peace, power. And now as we move into the winter solstice and celebrate, we let go of the darkness of the past. And each and every day we move into a new way of living in the light and making those choices of abundance and joy and comfort and peace, knowing that we have free will to choose our lives. And we also accept the guidance of divine light, divine spirit in everything we do. This is also the season of forgiveness and to reconnect with loved ones, even if it's been many, many, many years. It would be a good idea to reconnect. And I let the energy of love fill our Hilltop Center. And this energy is the light of growth and prosperity and community. I am so grateful, and with a loving heart, we welcome Reverend Dr. Guy in his divine, beautiful message that leaves us with the tools and guidance to live by, and also the beautiful music of Lee, our musical director, and Jim. And now as we move into this new solstice, this new season, with a grateful heart, I release into the law of mind, and together we say, and so it is. The quote this morning is by Margaret Atwood. This is the solstice, the still point of the sun, its cusp and midnight, the year's threshold and unlocking, where the past lets go of and becomes the future, the place of caught breath. A lot of you know that I am a dance teacher, master choreographer, producer of musicals, on and on and on, 50 years now. And the one thing I shouldn't do is yell over the top of music. So all week my head mic is down, so I had to yell over the music all week. This is my reward. Yay! All right, and now we move into a beautiful moment of 3 minutes. So let's place 2 feet on the ground, grounding us, sitting up straight, connecting. And I like to do this breathing exercise that brings us to that beautiful, beautiful centered spirit inside. So we're going to inhale and exhale 3 times. Inhale, I am. Exhale, God is. Inhale, I am. Exhale, God is. Inhale, I am. Exhale, God is. together we say, and so it is.
So I'm going to play this song that I wrote last Christmas. And it was my interpretation of taking the things that I celebrated growing up that didn't have the message that resonated with me and changing the message to what I thought the message was trying to tell me. So it's like an ode to free will and an ode to the spirit of giving. It's called The Gift. I'm always making my future self happy. It's gonna be great someday. Obsessed with the truth and hopeful some youth will hear what I'm wanting to say. See, I've changed relations with expectations. Now I know why music's the best. I thought it was magic, but we're sort of tragic. We just wanna know what's next. We love to know what's next. What a gift to wonder. What a life to live. What a time to ponder. What a gift to give. Now I go easy, it's easy to please me, are things I'll keep telling myself. Though I try not to worry, as most things are stories, I seem to be selling myself. I seem to be selling myself. What a gift to wonder. What a life to live. What a time to ponder. What a gift to give. At the birth of a dawn of a new way has come, and the child has something to share. As inside each of us, love keeps on teaching us, though it's scary to care. Slow down through the ages, they got us in stages, now we're getting up to speed. Still I'm at a loss if you're wearing the cross, but bearing the burden it freed. Bearing the burden it freed. What a gift to wonder. What a life to live. What a time to ponder. What a gift to give. Tis the season. Cheers, everybody. Cheers to Jim Jones, and please welcome our Dr. Reverend Guy Williams.
Fabulous. Thank you. Bear with me a second here. So that was such a beautiful song. Thank you. It's just so deeply reflective, you know, and we're in Saturn's season, which is a season of reflection. Saturn is the lord of mysticism, as they say. And I'll get into that in just a second. So I was thinking this week, so we're watching this television show called Dune Prophecy. Anybody aware of that? So, are you enjoying it? I am too. I'm curious about it as well. So, and the reason I'm mentioning that is, I'm not going to give a critique on the television show at all yet. Basically, we've only seen like 3 episodes, but I really love Emily Watson and the guy who played Ragnar in Vikings. So anyway, I'm really enjoying that. But the point of it is it got me thinking about the series by Frank Herbert of Dune. Was anybody a Dune fan, high school person? Yes. So how far did you go? Reading all the way? So yeah, I read, there was Dune, Dune Messiah, Children of the Dune, God Emperor Dune. There was 15 of them. I stopped at Chapter House. I was kind of like I was done at that point. But he, like Tolkien, like so many writers, and what I would say is, when I was younger, I think one of the things that kept me intellectually, probably emotionally and spiritually alive was science fiction and fantasy. It was a very tumultuous time in the late 60s and early 70s. And there was a lot of things going on. And so for me, a refuge was reading, and particularly the genres of science fiction and fantasy. Tolkien, James Blish, Cities in Flight, Frank Herbert, Ray Bradbury, on and so forth. But one of the things like that, one of the reasons I love this form of literature is the capacity of the author to create these worlds. It's like what Rabbi Abraham Heschel says, words create worlds. And it is, we are by nature a storytelling creature. That is our species. We learn by telling stories. We've talked about this before, probably the thing that accelerated our evolution more than anything else was the capacity to think symbolically and the invention of language. But one of the things that has stuck with me, and I think it's pertinent to the season now, which is kind of where I'm going, is in the Dune series and in this series, which is about the genesis of an order of women known as the Bene Gesserits. And they are this very mystical, witchy group of women. They're truth sayers, and they're counselors to a degree, and they're also very powerful women. But part of their strength, part of what makes them who they are, is as part of their initiation, they ingest a psychedelic that allows them access to the voices of all of their ancestors. So there's that capacity to listen into the wisdom that has always been there. Now, what I would offer is someone like Pierre Teilhard de Chardin talks about something called the noosphere. And the noosphere is that it's not necessarily a physical sphere like the atmosphere, or the biosphere or those kinds of things, but it is symbolically present that all wisdom that has been spoken still exists. And that through our imagination, through our intuition, through these inner tools that we can develop, we can hear the voices of our ancestors. They are speaking to us. More than that, we can hear the voice of the earth as it speaks to us as well. And and it's interesting because here we are on the winter solstice, and this winter solstice is a symbolic festival. It's an archetypal festival. I don't necessarily think it's a relative festival, only because if we were to get into the astronomy of things, we would see something different. But that's not the point. It's not like it's an actual physical event any more than we are just a physical being. There's dimensions upon dimensions upon dimensions. And at an archetypal level, there's a really interesting experience about what the solstice symbolizes. And part of what it symbolizes is as the ancients taught, that at this time, the solstice, when it appears, as if the sun stands still. Because what has happened is, without getting into galaxy brain astronomy, if you have watched it yourself, you can see how the sun travels throughout the year. And during the winter solstice period, the sun is very, very, very far in the south. And so the days are very short and the darkness is longer. When we would get to the summer solstice, the sun is farther into the north and there's more light and less darkness. So we see a rhythm. And what I would venture to say is that this rhythm is the primal or the uber genesis of all of our stories from whatever spiritual tradition we come from, whether we be Muslims or Buddhists or Christians or Hindus or indigenous or you name it, whatever tradition you may come from, they all come down to one thing, which is the interaction between light and dark. More light, more dark. More light, less dark. However that plays, and so this is that time of year where, since time immemorial, our ancestors and us are invited to sort of pause, like the sun appears to do, and reflect upon what this is all about. And part of the energetic conversation that takes place, it is said that the winter solstice is the gateway to the gods. Because if you watch the heavens, if you just kind of watch what's happening, is that incrementally, every day, there's more light and more light until we get to the summer solstice, and then the exact opposite happens. And so what was taught in the ancient mystery schools is that this is the time of the ascension of light. And what's really interesting about this is this traces back all the way to the creation myths and legends of all times, because light comes from darkness. Order comes from chaos. Creation comes from the depths, the deeps, the tahum, as it says in the Hebrew Bible. I mean, we read that, in the beginning created God the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. That's how the story begins. Darkness is upon the face of the deep. And this Ein Sof, this beingness that we call God, says, let there be light. And there was light at the beginning of the first day, and as creation goes. So there's something about this, but I think at a personal level, there's an invitation for all of us from this energetic place of what we manifest with the tools and the conditions of our life. So we don't run from the darkness, we embrace the darkness. We don't run from chaos, we embrace chaos. We don't wish things were different, we accept what is, and then sit with the vision of what is this divine presence? How is it luring me from this kind of experience? And what is possible within my own imagination of what we can do? And so there's a couple things about this. We work with the circumstances that we have, and if we were to listen to the ancient wisdom, we work incrementally. Now that is a word that is totally foreign to New Thought, and it's certainly foreign to the culture that we live in, because if some is good, more is better. We're always looking how things could be faster, more, better, more efficient, blah, 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 blah. But what the lesson is teaching us, and perhaps this is why so many New Year's resolutions fail, is because we're wanting instant results or instant things, when the real message is how progress is made incrementally. So it's not about, I'm going to fly to the moon. It's about how I'm gonna walk to the market and maybe pick up a book and see where that takes me. But it's really more about resonance, rhythm within ourself, and letting go of these concepts of how it's supposed to be, and rather sitting with the vision of what is possible and allowing the vision itself to move us. Seamus Heaney, who's a famous Irish poet, says this. He says, "Believe the further shore is reachable from here. Believe in miracles. Believe the further shore is reachable from here. Believe in miracles." And so, for me, as I sit and ponder those ideas in the world that we're living in today, and I look at the conditions that we sit with, and I've talked about this a lot because it's something that I'm really working in my own world with, but it's the issues that we look at. There's a genocide happening in several places on the planet. There's economic, issues that are going on. There's political issues that are going on. There's environmental issues that are going on. There's a lot of stuff coming down. And what I would offer is something that Thomas Berry, who was a theologian back in the 60s, or he wrote later than that as well. He actually referred to himself as a geologian because he was so in love with the planet, but he was a theologian. And one of the things that he says is the issues that we're looking at are not economic, they're not social, they're not political, they're not environmental. Really, they are all spiritual. And it has to do with the stories that we tell ourselves. And the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are here today on this planet. And we tell those stories, whether we tell those stories politically or spiritually or religiously or whatever the case may be, but the bottom line is that perhaps, just perhaps, the stories that we tell these days are woefully inadequate to what is coming down. One of the things that Thomas Berry is very famous for is he would say this. He says that our vision needs to be as boundless as the cosmos. Sit with that. Our vision of what is possible must be as boundless as the cosmos. But we have found ourselves into conditions that say this is as good as it gets, or this is how it's going to be, or whatever the case may be, and we've kind of limited the possibility of our visions of what is possible there. So I'm not going to compete with that. And so maybe the thought is that the system itself is broken, and it is broken in such a way that it dulls, stupefies, cuts off our ability to be in touch with a wisdom that is broadcasting itself. Years ago, I used to do a lot of work in Mexico, and it's really interesting because in Mexico, in the community that I was working with, there wasn't a word for vision or visioning as we talk about it. For them, visioning was more like a radio signal. And do we have the antenna, the receptor to receive that which is being broadcast? And what I would offer is the cosmos is broadcasting constantly, and do we have the ears to hear it? But in many ways, and we also, let me just add it this way, we also live in a culture that is constantly gaslighting us and saying the reason things are the way that they are is because of you. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not just because of you. I'm a New Thought minister. I'm an ordained New Thought minister, and we're all about personal responsibility. But there comes a point where we have to stop being gaslit that everything is about us and the rugged individualism of ourself. And if our life isn't working out the way that it should be working, maybe it has something to do with us. Which is nothing I would tell a homeless person or an addict or someone going through a divorce, or someone with a disease, or any of that kind of stuff. Maybe there's something more at work. Thomas Berry says this, which I think is really interesting. He says, and this was, somebody said this. Oh, Sherry said this. I was tickled when you said this. So Thomas Berry, to quote him, says this. He says, "To not be able to see the stars is a deprivation of our inner worlds, a loss of wonder, and thus a diminishing of our imagination and our ability to remember our origins in the heavens and to dream our way forward into new beginnings on the earth." So there's something actually not being able to see the stars that diminishes our capacity to see into the heavens and therefore awaken an awareness of our relationship to everything. That's not your fault. If you can't see the stars, you are living, in a sense, in exile. You are living in a place far from your home. And that doesn't mean you should move, but it's something for us to consider, and I'll play this out further as we get along. But I just want to just offer that, that more and more as I see it, I feel that two things here. I feel one is that there are things that need to be addressed. And I also feel that part of what we let go of are systems that have failed us. Something that John Philip Newell, who wrote a book called The Great Search, he talks about is this idea of lone wolves. And, you know, and we all read Steppenwolf when we were in high school or college or where we read it. One of the things he says, he talks about lone wolves, but the thing about lone wolves is what he says is out in nature, lone wolves at times follow a solitary path for the sake of the path, scouting a way forward for the well-being of all. So sometimes the lone wolf isn't antisocial. Sometimes the lone wolf is prophetic. Sometimes each of us is called to be a lone wolf. In other words, to listen to that inner voice within us. Where is it luring us? Where is it calling us? Because in our own personal transformation, we are then able to bring back a greater gift for all of them. Something that Paul Tillich says. Paul Tillich, remember Paul Tillich? Happy old Paul Tillich, right? You know, Paul Tillich was he was a Christian socialist. I love him. He was a public theologian. He was also probably one of the founders of Christian existentialism. He was a professor in Germany. He was one of the first to be fired in the 30s for teaching at the university in Germany because of his support of his Jewish students and also his radical message. And so he was fired from his post in Germany, and he was immediately brought here by Reinhold Niebuhr, and the two of them argued until their death on one thing or another, but they were also good friends. But something that Paul Tillich says is this. He says, if we think a new thing can only come from an old thing, then we are in danger of missing the new thing. If we think that a new thing can only come from an old thing, then we are in danger of missing the new thing. In other words, let's stop depending on how things were to bring things to where they are. Perhaps there's something more radical at stake, and that this can only happen through our own personal transformation of where we're wanting to go with it and what we want to do with it. And what I would offer is I kind of agree with Thomas Berry that we as spiritual communities have a very powerful role in shaping the vision and creating a new imagination of what is possible. Now, what I want to say is there's a, do I want to use this quote here or do I want to use it on Christmas Eve? I'm going to use it here. Bear with me. I can find it here. I'll probably use it on New Year's Eve as well, because I think it's such a good one. It comes from the poet, let me see if I can find it here. Joy Harjo. She says this. She says, at some point we have to understand that we do not need to carry a story that is unbearable. At some point we have to understand that we do not need to carry a story that is unbearable. We can observe the story, which is mental, feel the story, which is physical, let the story go, which is emotional, then forgive the story, which is spiritual, after which we use the materials of it to build a house of knowledge. So we do not need to be bound by any particular story. And I want to say specifically, we do not need to be bound by stories about spirituality and religions and legends and all that other kind of stuff. I agree with you. We have done really bad things in history, but we have done really good things too. Universities, hospitals, social movements, on and on and on. It is there. And we also have a shadow part of ourselves. And part of our shadow is desire for expediency and this dependency on an old thing to bring about a new thing that never happens. And I can only speak personally of a tradition that I came from, because I wasn't raised Buddhist or Jewish or Hindu or Muslim or any of those things. I was raised Christian. That was the tradition that I came from. That's what influenced my thinking into this today. Ignatius Loyola, founder of the Jesuits, says, give me somebody until they're 5 years old and I will have them for life. And he's right. I was a Catholic until I was in my 20s. And so there's a form of me that still thinks that way, and I have to sit with that. But where I want to go with that is I'm not bound by that, but I can accept the shadow part of it, because what I know is that the teaching of Jesus, sadly, was commandeered by a religion that aligned itself with empire. And even though historically many good things came from that, at the end of the line they lost the way. And that's going to be kind of my Christmas Eve message. And I promise I won't talk about George Orwell, except he grew beautiful roses. We got to give him that. So my thought is this then, is that there is this role that we can play. And what Barry suggests is that there are three things that each of us can do. And what I would offer is, these are three things that we can do as individuals, and perhaps in a community such as ours, we can support each other in the practice of these three things. And so the first is this. He says, the first thing that we need to do is, he says, first, we must move away from a spirituality of alienation from the natural world to one of intimacy. So what that means is a spirituality that doesn't see itself separate from this world, but intimately part of this world. That doesn't look at ourselves as human beings as sort of, the crowning of something, but something that is integral to all that there is, but that our entire way of living on the planet is one of intimacy with all living things. Annie and I are doing a practice in our house these days, because we're looking at, we have this one side of our house, and it's either a desert or a swamp. It hasn't quite gotten anything, except that it is where Rollo has taken on a landscaping project, which is not where we think we want to go with it. But so what we do is we ask ourselves, what is the land asking of us? What is the land asking of us? Instead of us saying, this is what we think it should be, is to take the time, seasonally, diurnally, to be on whatever section of it and see what the land is saying to us. So it's about how we cultivate a sense of intimacy with the world that we live in. The second thing he says is this. He says, we must move away from a spirituality of revelation through scriptures to a spiritual revelation through the earth. So I love the Hebrew Bible. I love the Christian Bible. I love the Quran. I love Tolkien. I love Dune. You name it. I love those things because there's wisdom there. There's insight there. There's stories there. And yet, like at the very beginning, what is nature saying to you? To you personally? Have we lost the ability to see the stars? Have we lost the capacity to be in silence? Have we listened to the wind or watched a tree dropping its leaf? Whatever nature is saying, what if we cultivated a spirituality that was deeply integrated into listening to the natural world? Precedent over a written world. And thirdly, he says this, we must move away from a spirituality of justice for humanity to a spirituality of justice for every life form. Take a deep breath on that. Justice for every living thing on the planet. How would our lives be different if we did that? It'd be a push, wouldn't it? But what Barry suggests is this, is he says, this is our spiritual home as well as our physical home. We are most ourselves when we are intimate with the earth. But because this is our home, what we do to the earth, we do to ourselves, including our souls. And what he would go on to say is, there's no way out of here without the planet. Don't think that we can be adolescents and mess up our room and then go in another room to work. Don't think that we can mess this up and then go to Mars. If this planet dies, we die. As this planet flourishes, we flourish. It is our home, and every living thing on it is in relationship to us, and we are in relationship to it. And so my suggestion during this solstice period, as we slow down and move incrementally toward a vision that is luring us, working with the material that we have at hand, is can we move away from any idea of separation from anything, but to practice a sense of intimacy? Can we take time daily to listen to what the earth, our home, and the cosmos itself is speaking to us? And can we take a stand for justice for every living thing on the planet? Now, listen to that little voice inside your head that is telling you there's no little voice inside your head. And if it is telling you things like how this can't be done, or shouldn't be done, or there's impossible, or whatever the case may be, that's your story. And what Thomas Berry would say is we are in the situation we are in today because the stories that we have told ourselves are no longer adequate, but that we are in between stories. And maybe it's time for each of us, like Max in The Wild Things, to put on our lone wolf suit and see what form of mischief of one form or another we can get into. Happy solstice.
Love it. Thanks, Rev. Mischief indeed. You can change the song. No, I'm gonna stay. All right. So this is my version of mischievous comfort and joy that I wrote when I was like 20 years old, taking the traditions and putting a little pop spin. And my version of having a good time is music and dance and good food. So this is about having good parties with your friends and family at Christmas time. Yes, I'm down for the candles glowing and I'm up to hear the sleigh. But only one thing can really get me going when Christmas comes this way. If you think it's gifts, well it's not, 'cause I got a whole foxful of food's been due. I wanna dance all night under Christmas lights with you and you and you. Come on, let's step back, swinging like that with your candy cane and your little red hat. You know it's Christmas and I just wanna party. Front slide, glide to the side, say ho 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 if you're feeling alright. You know it's Christmas and I just wanna party tonight. Well, it don't make me bone, no. Well, I don't care much for myths as such, but I think I've seen an elf. And I know that Santa's real by touch, I've danced with him myself. He was coming down the chimney with something to give me quiet as a mouse. But oh my dear, that night last year, a party at my house. And I said, step back, swinging like that with your candy cane and your little red hat. You know it's Christmas and I just wanna party. Front slide, glide to the side, say ho 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 if you're feeling alright. You know it's Christmas and I just wanna party tonight. Let's go in, you know, to and fro on the mistletoe now. We don't have to kiss, I just wanna dance to this. Let's go in, you know, to and fro on the mistletoe now. We don't have to kiss, I just wanna dance with you. Well, I don't mean to be party crazy, I'm really quite good all year. But the mood sets in when the friends get in and the Christmas food gets here. I don't remember a late December that I didn't dance all through. Wherever I am, I'll do it again, and now I'm here with you. Come on, let's step back, swinging like that with your candy cane and your little red hat. You know it's Christmas and I just wanna party. Front slide, glide to the side, say ho 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 if you're feeling alright. You know it's Christmas and I just wanna party, so I just wanna party, I just wanna party tonight. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Jim Jones. Sometimes when I'm up here, I just want to be an example of how to manifest joy out of nothing, and that's what music is. You manifest joy out of nothing. Let's go. Let's go.
Thank you. That was a fun song. All right. And now we move into that time as I offer a prayer to take care of our spiritual community, our spiritual home. We also have several outreach programs that we support as a church. And let's take a deep breath. Nice deep breath. In this moment, knowing that Spirit has our back, that Spirit in all things, that Spirit moves through love and then onto paper. This love that we share with the world during this beautiful holiday season, this beautiful time of giving and receiving, the joy of family and friends, the energy and the vibration that we are all one. And as we take care of each other in many different ways, and knowing the whole world is our brothers and sisters, we offer peace and comfort and joy as we give today our special, special gratefulness on paper. And together we say, and so it is. as you know, I'm the blanket lady. So if you have any extra blankets, I've been running out. It's so cold. As I travel around Southern California at night, I see homeless everywhere, and they're tightly huddled in a corner on cold cement. Mind you, their choice, yes, but as a brother and as a sister, I think we can all help with a blanket. So I just fill up my trunk with blankets. So next week, if you have any extra, just bring them, and I will hand them out in the middle of the night. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Did he just like appear? Oh. What a Christmas miracle. So first of all, I just want to say I am so thrilled to be able to collaborate with Lee Coulter as our music director. He is just the best. And Walter loves him. And what you probably don't know about him are two things that I do know about him. One is he is incredibly supportive to artists within the county, and he is always working with them and creating venues for them and creating situations and things for people to express their art. So he's a great advocate for people's personal expression. And the other thing is he has a teenage son, and he is an amazing father. He has a tradition on Thanksgiving. I'm outing him, but he has a tradition on Thanksgiving where him and his son Kai, who's what, 16 now? 15? Holy cow. Yeah, they go surfing on Thanksgiving morning without wetsuits. Yes, yeah.
It's one wave, just one wave. That one and done.
It's symbolic, not relative. It's not like this. But anyway, so I'm glad to, and I'm also just honored that we have Jim Jones here, who is an ordained minister. Or have you haven't renounced that yet, have you? You're still ordained minister, or they haven't renounced you? We'll go to the Reverend Jim Jones, who is here, and just the things that he offers us, and all of our practitioners. So I'm grateful for our practitioners. I'm grateful for our music people. I'm grateful for the greeters today, Susie and Bob and Walter and everybody, and Kurt and Deanna, who are in the kitchen, and Mike was, I don't know, supervising the kitchen or anything else is going on. I'm grateful for everybody that was there, and I'm grateful for everybody's here. And if it's your first time, I'd love to get a chance to meet you after service. Thank you, Laura, for everything today. It's been a joy. And again, I encourage you guys, Christmas Eve, 6:30. It's going to be a lot of fun. It'd be more fun if you're here. So with that, let us pray. You know what I want to do? Chris Farini, come on down. Chris Farini offered this Navajo prayer that was so beautifully done. And I'm going to ask him if he would do our benediction by doing that prayer. And remember, we're way over. So, yeah.
Okay, I had heard a way of saying the Navajo prayer in English. I did hear it on the YouTube, and it was someone who shared, well, because the translation is difficult from the Dene language, but to make it into English so that it has 4 parts to it. So we say, with beauty before me I walk, with beauty behind me I walk, with beauty above me I walk, with beauty all around me I walk. It has become beauty again. It has become beauty again. It has become beauty again. It has become beauty again.
So it is. Thank you.
All right, here's a sing-along, dance-along that is also about trust and not letting the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy. Take it easy. Running down the road, trying to loosen my load. I got 7 women on my mind. Oh, they wanna hold me too, just wanna storm me once. And she's a friend of mine. Take it easy, take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy. Well, you may win, but we may never be here again. So open up and let this in and take it easy. Well, I'm standing on the corner of Winslow, Arizona, such a fine sight to see. It's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford, staring down, take a look at me. Come on, baby, don't say maybe. I gotta know if your sweet love is gonna save me. Well, you may win, but we may never be here again. So open up and climb on in, take it easy. Trying to loosen my load in a world of trouble on my mind. Looking for a lover who won't blow my cover. She's so hard to find. Take it easy, take it easy. The sound of your own wheels drive you crazy. Come on, baby, don't say maybe. I gotta know if your sweet love is gonna save me. You gotta take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. You gotta take it easy. We'll see you on Tuesday night, hopefully. Happy Sunday, everybody.